I should be good now.
Okay. Whenever you want to start.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Deb, can you do roll call, please?
Okay, Dean Esther,
Here,
Yancey Unger,
Here.
Carl Thompson,
Here.
Bob Hahn,
Here.
Brian Lawyer,
Here.
Jennifer McClay,
here,
Jeannie Ewan, Sherry Kruger, Lindsay Crest. So we have Sherry and Lindsay absent. I don't have Lindsay on Zoom yet.
Okay.
okay.
Please rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance in a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay, board acknowledgements and announcements, so board members,
I have two.
okay,
2 weeks ago, the Lewistown hockey, youth hockey, program held their first tournament called the Mason-Dixon Tournament. We had teams, a couple teams from Maryland, a couple teams from PA. We had one as far away as West Perry, which was fantastic. The whole tournament went well. Talked to numerous coaches. They thoroughly enjoyed it. Their players enjoyed it. It was a good experience for our girls. We have enough girls that we had 2 teams in each division, which is fantastic for the numbers in field hockey. The whole thing was put together by Miss Tiffany Fry and Miss Sarah Lawyer. It went off well. Hockey girls grades 7 through 12 volunteered. They ran a concession stand. And I got a report from Mr. Fry, who was running the concession stand. He said they did a fabulous job serving our guests, and they even did a fabulous job making change, which I wasn't expecting to hear, but that was great, because I thought for sure my girls would. But anyway, they plan on doing this every year now, I hope, and I think it'll be a fantastic tradition here at Littlestown. So kudos to those coaches. It went well. And the second thing I wanted to mention is Roost Harvest here in Littlestown. It's been serving our community for a couple years. It provides supplemental food for kids in ACES K through 5, and then kids who are in the middle school and qualify for free and reduced lunches can also qualify. They usually hand out the foods Thursday before the weekend and before long vacations. Last year, let me back up. At ACES, it's run through Mrs. Jen Yingling, and at MAMS, it's run through the guidance office and it's coordinated through the counselors. Last year, the 22-23 program served on an average 210 kids for 105 scheduled days off. They provided 22,050 breakfast items like cereal, muffins, and breakfast bars. Again, 22,050 lunch items, soup and canned chicken and mac and cheese, and then 35,000 fruits and vegetable servings, and 40,000 snacks and treats like pudding, popcorn, and cookies. All told, that's about 120,000 food items that Ruth Kitchen handed out to our kids last year, which I think is fantastic. Miss Sue Mock runs the program through St. John's Lutheran Church. Many of the local churches also contribute items to distribute. I just mentioned her because if you ever want to volunteer, you can contact her, I'm sure, through St. John's, and he would love to have you. This year, they received a nice donation to help buy some food, and they also received Another fantastic donation through Nissen Foods and Mr. Mike Rare, who is the plant manager in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. They received an entire skid of ramen chicken noodle soup from them, and that's 2,200 individual servings of ramen, and it'll feed our kids all year long. They'll have that ramen all year long, and so again, that's Nissen. There's only 2 plants in the U.S. They approved, they make all the ramen noodles, and Mike Rare is the plant manager in Mount Joy, and I thank him for that donation. So a little information about Ruth's Harvest here.
Wow.
And they start handing out Thursday when we come back. They will start distributing food again this year. And they have about the same amount of students enrolled this year too.
That is, thank you for sharing that,
Yeah.
Brian. That's nice to know that we have a community organization that provides food for our students when they're not in school. Wow. Any other board acknowledgements or things that are happening around?
I know I've got 2 that have graduated now, but I've got one now who's going to be a freshman in the high school. So we did the back to school night for the high school, and I thought it was great. Judy did a great job, and the teachers were great. So it seems like everyone's recharged and ready to go, I hope. And I loved it because we tailored it with a little bit of let's have a side of patience with the construction that's going to start, but I think people are excited about that as well. So, kudos to the staff. I think that I just see is Maple Avenue. There was a lot of people at Maple Avenue tonight.
Orientation.
Okay. Because I saw a lot of folks coming out tonight, and I'm sure Aces had theirs too. So thanks for getting everybody ready and getting the parents involved, and good luck to a good start this week.
Yeah, our first in-service day is tomorrow. All board members are welcome tomorrow morning. We have a program starting at 9. Breakfast will be at 8, but starting at 9, we have a program. I think it's amazing the staff that we have. As I go around, I was just with a bunch of teachers from Lower Dolphin, Hershey, Palmyra area this weekend. And when I talk to them about programs that we have, they're amazed at what we do for the district size that we have. So I'm always very proud to say that, we are part of Littletown School District. It's just, it's amazing what we do, and our teachers and our staff, the performance that they do and everything that they do for us is just fantastic. So, I sit here as a board member and really, really proud of the staff and the community and our administration that we have. So thank you to all of you. It's just really nice to know. Any other board acknowledgements? Okay. I'm adding something in here. It's not on the agenda, but it's the student report from our student council rep. She is here tonight. She's going to introduce herself to us. She had someplace else to go after this, so we're going to excuse her after her little talk. But we'd like to welcome her. So I'm going to turn the program over to her now and let her introduce herself to us, and she will be with us all year. So this is great. So go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Janiyah Nouse, and I'm an upcoming senior here at Littlestown. I am the new student council executive president. I'm also the National Honor Society president. And if you are attending the in-service day tomorrow, I will be speaking at 11. So you might see my face again. As far as student council goes, we're obviously planning on starting the homecoming. Homecoming themes is already chosen. I think it's some enchanted garden night type theme with plants and lights, and that should be fun. I know Dr. Coleman and I started picking out decorations already, so that's already in go. We really want to focus on communication this year. We want to focus on getting good communication from the sports teams, from the clubs, from administration. And I think that it'll be easy this year, not easy, but easier, just because I'm involved in so many things that it'll be easier for me to come here myself and speak to you guys on whatever it is, kind of like kill a lot of birds with one stone. We would like to improve morale through all school activities and really increase student engagement is another big thing. Because we have a lot of kids who are involved in a lot of things, but there's kids outside of that we're trying to reach. So that's kind of it.
Good. Any questions for tonight? Well,
Do you have a counterpart coming with you in future meetings? Like,
Possibly, I did speak to my vice president, Rowan Fitzgerald, about
Okay.
coming tonight, but he had other obligations, so okay.
Right.
But it's possible that we'll switch, you might not always see me, you might see him, or possibly Kaylee, I know she did it in the past.
Perfect.
Welcome.
well, we are very happy to have you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, and, you know, always hearing about what the high school's doing and all the things that, you know, are happening. So congratulations on, joining our board and, you know, have a good one.
Thank you.
So, and thank you for coming tonight.
See you guys.
yep.
Wow, the highlight of our night is our principals again. We are delighted now to see our principals of the elementary, middle and high school again. To give a presentation. So I don't know who's going first, but
Thought it was gonna be a lottery system, we were waiting for you to tell.
let me think. Mr. Moran, would you like to go first?
Chivalry is dead. I'll make that choice easy. Maybe I'm pretty big enough, so I don't need one. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come back now, appreciate the role as the elementary principal, so. The elementary school is excited to welcome students back and the staff to school. So the staff has been coming in over the last few weeks, making preparations in the classrooms, eagerly awaiting the arrival of students. Ms. Lepo and the custodial staff and Menendez and making sure everyone's clean, it's safe and ready to go for our students to learn and our staff to teach. As Mr. Unger alluded to, we did have our kindergarten orientation last week. It was a huge success. We approached enrollment of about 100 students at the same now. And then we follow that up tomorrow with our elementary back to school night. That's for our students and families in grades 1 through 5. We sort of said total enrollment at the elementary school at about 800 students currently. And then our big class is our 4th grade group of students with their enrollment in about 158 students there. Staff's been doing an outstanding job of getting each event ready and obviously making sure we welcome our students and families with open arms. As far as me personally and my transition down from the high school to the elementary school, Mr. Coachinella, assistant principal here, as well as the office staff, Ms. Johnson, Ms. Price, Ms. Topper, the building coaches, the staff, Ms. Bennett, they've all been great in helping me transition from the high school to the elementary school. They've been great at answering my questions, and the wonderings as I listen to their processes that they use, the procedures they have currently in place. Those discussions have been very collaborative in nature. Feedback has been great. And then really just making sure we're ready for students on Thursday. And our staff obviously tomorrow. We do still have one open teaching position in our 3rd grade. Long-term sub position is posted. We continue to explore leads in that opening. However, Ms. Lisa Thompson has been kind enough to help out to get us started for the school year. Had a chance to sit down and meet with her and we discussed that alternative a few weeks ago, and this sort of came to fruition that we will start the year with her in 3rd grade. Happy to report that our teachers at the 3rd grade level have been outstanding to support her, as well as helping her to prepare for the level of students as we continue to search for that position. As far as the administration staff, we've been gearing up for the in-service days, spoken of earlier.
And obviously our focus is on our professional development, during the school year. This year, we're sort of emphasizing on our letters training, where students will build those foundational skills in reading, and our new math program implementation to help our staff provide better instructional practices, as well as students to engage more in the learning. So we're excited about what's to come. And with that, we'll continue into September into that discussion about some of our practices and the focus this year. And at this time, that will conclude my report. That's very small.
Unofficial until
Yeah.
read the. And I'll piggyback on what you did say about Lisa. I want to comment. I guess you could have said it, but I wasn't, and you're gonna bring that up. As late as Saturday night at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, we've had teachers calling to help her, support her. And I will say one thing, that the staff, whether it's been a kindergarten teacher to a 5th grade teacher, has called her to help them support her. So they all gather around. It's unbelievable the way that these teachers rally around each other and take care of one of their own. So I thank them, and I thank she's been there working out, but they were very, very, very helpful.
Did you say our kindergarten numbers are at 100?
Yeah, approaching 100. That's lower than normal. The normal, what's in that 130 to 150 range is what we traditionally had, as far as across the district. We thought we might have some late pushes to that number, but it's held pretty steady here for the last several weeks. So, we're right around that 100.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Mr. Moran? Thank you. So do I get to pick who comes up next? School.
Well, good evening. Those of you who don't know me, I'm from the Golden School of Maple Active Middle School. Everything Moran said about our staff working very good and building up and running. We are ready to go tomorrow and ready to go Thursday. So with that, I will jump into just a really high view of our goals for Maple Avenue through the year. So as I come back each month, I'll talk to you about our progress on our goals. You'll hear me talk about our flight plan. We've done flight plans at Maple Avenue for a handful of years now. What it is, it's just a document that lists some of our broad goals, and everything we do as a staff and everything we do with our students is intended to work towards one or more of these goals. It helps to keep us focused, keep our eye on the prize. So I've given you each a copy. If you look in the center there, Thunderbolts Thrive at Maple Avenue. So that is at, in Littlestown, but we also say it at Maple Avenue. And I will certainly let you read this at your leisure, but I'll just point out that first pink block. He's looking at me.
A little dog.
There is nothing more that motivates staff than a dog piloting America. We learned last year for sure that what we focus on improves. So we want to keep that mantra going. We know that what we commit to and what we work towards shows improvement. So just reminding our staff and our students and parents of that. We have 3 broad goals that are very similar to last year. Our strategies may have been adjusted and refined a bit, but a goal about a positive school community, a goal about academic excellence, and a goal about professional learning and collaboration. So we'll continue down that pathway. One thing that we did last year that paid off dividends is our staff, and I may have mentioned this to you before, made a commitment in 3 areas last year that they were going to commit professionally to do these 3 things, to hold themselves and each other accountable. If you look in the light orange box towards the middle lower section of your paper, the first 3 bullets are from last year. Post in the hallway during transitions. If you've ever been in a school during a class switch, you will understand why that is important. Intervene, whether the student is yours or not. If you see something that's not right, intervene. And no cell phones and earbuds during class. And our staff committed to this across the board, and it paid off for us in ways that I could not even begin to imagine, as far as focusing on academics, cutting down on discipline issues and concerns, and our data bears that out. So we're gonna continue with those 3 that we had from last year, but we're adding 3 more. We are going to make sure that we are having regular phone communication with our families, that we are holding ourselves to a high professional standard, and that we're building relationships with each other and especially with our students. So those are the 3 commitments that we're adding on for this year. So again, I'll leave you to read this. After the meeting, if you have any questions about it, please reach out. But I just wanted you to have it in front of you so that as we go on through the year and I reference the flight plan and the goals and the strategies, that's where this. Thank you.
Yeah.
Courtney, Jim, good turnout tonight. A lot of families.
Yes, the auditorium is full.
Okay.
We generally have a very good.
Good evening. As Mr. Unger said, we did have freshman orientation. It was last week, and I'm happy to say that we had all but 25 families show up. So we always hand the freshmen their schedules when they come in, have them get their seats and talk with them for a little while. And then at the end of the evening, we take the schedules that are left because they then walk their schedules in the building. And we only had 25 families who did not show up on last week. So that was very exciting for us. I would also say, as you had mentioned, we are very excited for the school year to start. All throughout the summer, there are teachers in and out all summer long. I know people think that our teachers really have off all summer, but they are always in the building. They're always working on things. And then this past week, it's really ramped up, especially in the last week. We had more teachers who found out they had to leave their classrooms. And talking about everybody pitching in. So the teachers and the counselors who found out they had to be removed, everybody's like, how can we help you? What do you need moved? What do you need boxed? Poor Sandy, like if you see Sandy, please give her kudos. Even today I said, Sandy, I really need 4 chairs. She goes, where do you need them? When do you want them? I said, I'll get them. You just tell me where they're at. She's like, no, I'll go get them. So she and I are moving chairs around this afternoon, but her and her crew, Victor and his crew, I don't know if you were up by the high school today, the fencing's up, the first trailer is on site, so it's getting very real very quickly. We've also been really trying to increase our presence out on Thrill Share on the app. So you'll see we have Hillary, who's a new addition for us this year. She's doing a countdown for the high school kids. We're excited to get them in the building. So she let them know today. They have 3 days till school starts. We also put up for our public our new entrance. So if you do come to visit us at the high school, the new entrance is back at the cafeteria. And our new main office is our old faculty room. So they have really made do and set up shop there, and they're doing a really nice job. Just briefly touching on goals, because we did talk about a lot of that last week. But you'll see in Mr. Vigor's presentation tomorrow where he really talks about Littlestown academic safety and discipline, and we are replicating that to some degree at the high school, really working on our academics to expand those opportunities that we talked about last year and those experiences for our seniors. Really, safety will be paramount. I mean, it is every year, but with the building project going on and having other people around our campus, it will be highly stressed. And then as far as discipline, we are also looking at disciplines, not just about the behaviors of the students, but what are our behaviors and how are we interacting with the kids and building those relationships, making those phone calls home, reaching out to kids who are struggling. So we are also going to kind of follow the LASD model this year of incorporating those.
Yes. This last week, we had a nice little policy that was issued about sporting events. But let me stop there. The indoor ones with construction, I totally get it. Outdoor one, I'm a little concerned about, and it talks to me a little bit about that structure, how that was developed, or how we're going to work with it and massage it to fit the community.
Okay, so, and I don't know if Mrs. John's on or not, but one of the things that we talked about, and no, I don't know that it makes any difference. We're not the first district that has actually started putting things in place for students younger than 8th grade to come with an adult, so that there's at least an adult. If there's an emergency inside the stadium or in the gymnasium or the hockey field, that we have an adult that we can get to if there's an emergency. There are times when I will just speak personally, when I leave a football game and I'm walking across, there are students out and about who are younger than high school age, who are not in the stadium. And I want to make sure that parents know that if their kids coming, that they are in the stadium where they are and that they're safe. Especially with all the construction sites and the fencing, and I just, when working with Mrs. Young, working with a couple other districts to get their language. I think the thing that, and I'll just address, when we put this statement out, we use the term at all times. And that's not to say that students can't walk around, that they can't interact with their friends, but it's knowing that an adult is in the stadium or in the gymnasium who's responsible, that if something happens, we can get.
Yeah, I get the inside because they used to work the wrestling match and she said it was the one of the worst events that she's ever had to work. The students would walk in and out like it was outside and play around and their parents were nowhere to be found. So I get that one, especially since it's construction and it's going to be a dangerous place and there's a lot of places that get hurt. So I totally applaud that aspect and that we need to, I might even underline the at all times with that at those events when they're in.
Well, and we did say we might come back to that at the indoor events, because I will be honest, that is a little bit where it stemmed from with some of the inside activities. Mr. Rader can attest, we had a fire alarm pulled by a young unsupervised student. And you had mentioned the wrestling match. There are quite a few times we have to go out and take footballs away or soccer balls away. And honestly, with the number of community members that we have that come to our basketball and wrestling matches, I'm really worried that an elderly adult is going to get hurt with kids running in that corridor.
And I can answer any questions you guys have on that as well, too. This is Shelley Young.
I don't mind that answer.
Any other concerns from the board? Shelley, thank you for hopping on, and Dr. Berryman, thank you very much.
Right now, it's a recommendation of the administration and the athletic director. It's not a full-fledged policy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does it have to be a policy? Can it be a rule of the stadium?
We can get there. We're going to see how the recommendations go.
Dark, there's
Mhm.
dark.
Mhm.
And if you were a predator, what a great place
Right.
to be.
So I think part of the goals that we created, this was a discussion we had in the admin meetings. How can we improve safety? This was one of the outcomes and a recommendation to start. We'll see how it goes this year, revisit it if we need to make adjustments. And if we need to add more authority, we'll come to the board with more authority.
I think sometimes the community jumped on that, thought that the student had to sit with them the whole time and be with them the whole time. They're still allowed to walk around.
Yeah.
Right,
Right.
but, it's nice to have a parent with a student younger than 8th grade,
And I think the last thing from our view, to remind everybody, the community survey said number one was safety.
Safety.
So there'll be more actions like this throughout the year as we enhance our safety practices.
Thank you to our 3 principals who spoke tonight, and best of luck at the start of school tomorrow. I'm looking forward to a great year because we have great leaders. So thank you very much. Any other comments? Thank you.
Dee, I wanted to let you know that Lindsay's on Zoom now.
Okay, welcome, Lindsay.
Thanks, God. I'm late.
That's all right. Jen?
I just had a question with the communication and phone calls with parents. Like, are you making like a rubric or something like that? This many,
No, it's not that formalized. It's just, going back to that idea of what we focus on in groups. And we know just from our own internal knowing what goes on in our building, plus what we receive from our community survey, that families deserve better communication from us. Varying types of communication and more frequent communication. And you know, it's human nature, I think, these days to just shoot out emails. And, you know, it's not really a conversation, that's not really getting to the heart of talking about an issue. And often can be misperceived and emails fire back and forth. So just really making a concerted effort to pick up the phone. And it's not only when there's concerns, but just, you know, to build that relationship. And, you know, having some collaborative time in a teacher's day that may be set aside where you can take some, make some phone calls in a very busy day, it often gets away from you. So it's just making an effort to be. Absolutely, but just increasing communication, making sure they're hearing our voice and hearing it from us. And being mindful of it.
Great idea. All right. Any other questions? Great. All right, moving on to public participation. I think I know this by heart by now. The board recognizes the value involving public participation in board meetings. In accordance with policy 903, the board requires that participants be a resident or taxpayer of the district, a representative eligible to bid on materials or services solicited by the board or district employee or student. Complaints must first be brought to the attention of the superintendent or appropriate staff member. This is necessary to allow the administration an opportunity to investigate and resolve such matters in a way that safeguards confidential information and the privacy of those concerned. Participants and attendings can sign up 5 minutes before the meeting. Otherwise, you can call in 30 minutes before the meeting. During the public period, each participant will be allowed to speak for 5 minutes. We have one participant, and that's Suzanne Johnson.
Good evening. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the administration and the board for their thorough and extensive planning efforts to get to the point of approving bids for the secondary school building project. That's a huge milestone, and I know a lot of diligent work went into those efforts, including financial preparations. So I think we should give it a lot of kudos, because a lot of times we hear a lot against it, but it's something that's well needed. According to a report from the National Center for Education Statistics on the age of American public schools that are between 30 and 40 years old, the original equipment should have been replaced, including the roof and electrical equipment. After, like I said, 30 to 40 years. After 40 years, a school building begins rapid deterioration, and after 60 years, most schools are abandoned. And here we are in Littlestown with a high school that's pretty much 60 years old and a middle school that's nearly 100 years old. So these buildings are well beyond their lifespans. And so this building project is a long overdue investment in our youth and indeed the future of our community. Switching gears, I'd like to briefly inquire more about this security announcement that was made. I think the concern was because it specifically said direct supervision in the bleachers for children eighth grade and under. So I think that's where the breakdown has occurred. In addition, it is a change to go from the cutoff being 6th grade to 8th grade. I know as a parent of a 7th grader, in moving to this small town, there's like nothing for her to do. So I know that there are security issues, but if they're not there participating in this community event, they're out in front of our businesses loitering or on the streets, in parks and elsewhere. So there's safety trade-offs in either way. And I just would like, you know, to remind people that we have this big one town, one team motto, and have we looked at other ways that we can come up with creative and collaborative solutions with the community to really incorporate those mottos in safe ways, and give our youth something more to do than causing problems elsewhere in the community. Finally, I'd like to briefly address the student meal account issue. I know we've talked about it quite a bit, and I think there was certainly a perfect storm of circumstances last year that led to the huge spike, including lunches no longer, you know, shifting from them no longer being free, and of course, switching from my school bus to the school cafe was a huge problem with, you know, making that change and managing those accounts. So I don't think that's going to be as big of an issue this year, but I think we need to continue to help communicate with our families. And make sure that we're addressing the needs so that students have the food that they need without creating huge financial burdens for our families. I'm not particularly concerned about $35,000 debt for our school board district, but for those families that have not gone to collections, that could be a huge problem for those families. That is a bigger problem for those families than necessarily the community. Specifically, I'd like to explore some additional ways that we could address this issue even further. I know that communication's been going on, but are there ways that we can incorporate our students into those communication efforts? They're the ones that are making the decisions, so with their parents' money at the time. So I'm sure they would have creative ways to help with that. And we have journalism and other classes where maybe they could help get the message out about, how to better manage those accounts. And also if there's like opportunities with the Thunderbolt Foundation or other ways to get grants or other donations to help our families that are really struggling financially. Finally, I'd like to thank the staff for all their efforts to prepare for the students' return to school this week. And I know with communication, curiosity, collaboration, we can all continue to make the school district amazing. And I look forward to the start of the school year and the secondary buildings project. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to our board minute. May I have a motion to approve the regular board meeting on June 19th?
So moved, Carl Thompson.
Second,
Second.
discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Special session meeting on July 31st, a motion,
So moved, Carl Thompson.
second,
Second, Brian Lawyer.
discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The work session meeting on August 14th, a motion,
So moved, Carl Thompson.
second,
Second, Brian Lawyer.
discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, moving on, Bob.
Under Finance, Property and Supply Committee report. I'm going to pull out letter B, C, and D. We will vote on them with a roll call vote. Does anyone have any other item they wish to pull from that report? If not, I'm making a motion to recommend approval of letter A, E, F, and G.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, Carl Thompson.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under letter B. Recommend approval of the sale of 6.3 acres near the maintenance transportation building.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Discussion. All right, Bev, would you please have roll call on this?
Okay, start with Brian Lawyer,
Yes.
Jennifer McClay,
Yes.
Dee Nestor,
Yes.
Carl Thompson,
Yes.
Yancy Unger,
Yes.
Jeannie Ewen,
Yes.
Bob Hahn.
Yes.
Lindsay Kress,
Yes.
that's 8 yeses. 0 no's.
Motion,
In the floor of the motion, recommend approval of the resolution of unused and unnecessary land of 8.3 acres.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, Carl Thompson.
Discussion.
Just for clarity, C and D are the same item. There's just 2 actions that have to be done.
This is the land, the 8.3 that is behind the softball field and the little appendage that's in the housing development that's really not
Right.
useful to.
It really doesn't adjoin our property. All right, Bev, may I have a roll call on this?
Okay. Carl Thompson,
Yes.
Yancy Unger,
Yes.
Jeannie Ewen, Bob Hahn, Lindsay Kress,
yes,
Brian Moyer,
Yes.
Jennifer McClay,
Yes.
and Dean Nestor.
Yes,
Letter D.
wait a minute. 8 in favor, motion carries.
Letter D. In the form of a motion, recommend approval of the sale of 8.3 acres east of the softball field.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Yes, Carl Thompson.
Discussion. All right, Bev, may I have a roll call on this, please?
Okay. Lindsay Kress,
yes,
Brian Moyer,
Yes.
Jennifer McClay,
Yes.
Dean Nestor,
Yes,
Carl Thompson,
Yes.
Yancy Unger,
Yes.
Jeannie Ewen,
Yes.
and Bob Hahn.
Yes.
Vote is unanimous.
all right, 8 in favor, motion passes.
That's in the finance.
Do we just want to summarize that?
Yeah,
B, C, and D?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
can.
You want me to, I mean, I'm just looking at our notes from.
Yeah.
I unfortunately missed the last meeting, but, so just to make sure, we know, the public understands. So B, C, and D, cumulative was that we sold, well, B, C, and D is our selling of this, but prior to that, we purchased the 17.4 acres that is behind Alloway, right, which is contiguous. What, yeah, this building, all right, which is contiguous to the property, and all 17.4 acres is contiguous, so that's 17.4 gained land, and from B, C, and D here, we're selling 14.6 acres that I'm gonna call it are in the extremities right now of our properties and not, as useful to the district. So, and with that, there's a delta or a profit to the district of upwards of $300,000 pending these sales. So just want to make sure, we're gaining nearly 3 acres more, making it consolidated, and we're adding money. So in my mind, that was the discussion point. I know back in, when we bought the original 17.4, there was a lot of people questioning that. And I think, now it comes to fruition. Everyone understands, I think, the process and the thoughts that we've been talking about here, over the past, wow, when did this start?
2 years ago.
Yeah, year and a half,
It's been
years, yeah.
Wow.
So,
we've been hashing this out for a while.
Yeah. is that clear? Does that everyone understand that?
Basically, what boils down to is we gained 17 areas of classroom. Because we didn't have place for Jesse to actually use as a classroom. That's
Yeah,
why he could-
And that land is flat and
That land
usable,
is
and yeah,
flat and useful,
Yeah.
plus the fact that this land will now go on the tax rolls. Whereas it wasn't on the tax rolls before, so now it will become taxable land that we will get tax money from, so. It benefits us.
agreed.
All around there.
So we have made, I think, very good fiscal decisions in doing this. It has taken us a long time to do this. But we had a plan and a vision, and it's now occurring. And I applaud this board for everything that we have done. We've hashed out a lot of discussion with this. Some of it in executive session, which is allowed for real estate. And we think that we have made a very good decision here for the school district. Anyone else want to say it?
First, you're releasing statement or something, or
Yeah, I mean, basically what you all said is what the statement would be,
Okay.
but I think what you're planning for is the future, that you don't know what'll happen, but you have land and a place you can build on if you ever need to. You didn't have that before. So I think that's your greatest long-term asset is if all the farms sell and a bunch of families show up, you have a place to go with things. Before that, we would have no place to build. They're gonna say you need minimum 14 acres to build a school site on if you ever need 50 years from now. I think that's your longest strategic value for that.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris, for your hard work. I know it's not easy.
We're not done, but
Yeah.
we're halfway through.
The worst part is it has to all be done secretly because of people.
Yeah.
Driving prices up or down.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so that's why some of it was in executive
thank
session.
you.
Just there are two stipulations on each sale. They're contingencies. So hopefully the contingencies follow through. The 6.3 is a contingency of getting rezoned. The 8.3 just has a contingency of being separated. With the second one being much easier than the first one.
Yeah.
So if those two contingencies fall through with, then we'll be able to move forward with a court hearing where we have to show the court that we didn't need the property and also that it was unusable for us for the future. So there's a court step yet in this process. The courts will have to approve it.
Great, thank you, Bob. Can you?
That's it.
Under the treasurer's report, we'll find item 1 through 5 noted. Any questions? Payment of invoices. If anyone has questions on items 1 through 5. We can pull and put on later. Anybody want anything pulled? If not, on form of motion, recommend approval of items 1 through 5. Item 6 being noted.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, Paul Thompson.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And the report. Yes.
Personnel report. So I know we talked about this last week. Is there anything on this personnel report, which is lengthy? Is anything on here that anybody needs me to pull out and to discuss in any fashion?
I haven't seen that.
From M, okay, I'll pull out M because we got an abstention here. Is there anything else?
I need a full letter K.
K?
Okay.
Okay. Well, then, if not, I recommend approval of personnel report items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, L, N, and O.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, Ryan Miller.
Discussion.
As always, I mean, there's some really good people leaving, moving on to either other positions or retiring, or, some of these are resignations, and B, for, some coaches that have helped us out over the years and for whatever reason, are no longer helping out with coaching, but staying on as their academic side. But just thanks to everyone, who's had any part in the district. So, Chip Thistle, of course, and, there's other names on here that have been here for a number of years. And then, of course, the list of new hires. We're excited to have them on board, and it was great to hear the principals just say how, the other grade support teams are helping them out, and this and that and the other. So I know up at the high school in our orientation, we met a few of the new faces, so that was good to see. So they're all smiling at that point, so it's all good.
All right, I have a motion on the floor. We've had second and discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
I recommend approval of item K, which is the support staff hires and transfers.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, Jen.
Discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
One abstain.
And one abstention.
All right.
So 7-1, motion carries.
And do I have, I need a recommendation for approval for item M, the list of advisors for the new school year.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, Carl Thompson.
Discussion.
Good to see all the positions building.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention.
One abstention.
Motion carried 7-1 with one abstention.
End of report. Thanks.
Okay, for the curriculum, co-curriculum and policy. Any items to be pulled out? So in a form of a motion, recommend items A, B, C, D, E, and G.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, I'm in lawyer.
Discussion.
Is the York College thing new? Sorry. Is that, have we always had that with the student teachers?
I just reached out because we need.
Yeah.
To come in and that was.
That's a new contact.
So
That's
it's-
great. Okay, that was it. Thanks.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, in the form of a motion, recommend approval of the following donations. St. John's Lutheran Church to donate 16 homemade string bags with school supplies for Alloway Creek students valued at $200.
I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Second, Yancy.
Discussion.
Well, we just want to thank St. John's. It's always nice that our community helps. our students.
Yes, absolutely. And again, you know that a letter does go out. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And the report.
Good. I don't believe Mrs. Becker has a report from the Thunderbolt Foundation. So I'll move on to the LIU report. LIU had a meeting in August. We had our June meeting also, and at our June meeting, we elected new officers. We still have a couple board positions that need to be filled. Going back to the new officers, I was elected as president of the LIU board. So I'm doing that. What? I know, you know, it really is a good board to work for, and they do a lot of stuff. Also, the LIU put out this year an annual report. Tells a little bit about what the LIU does, what it is. Goes over the people that work for LIU. I'm going to leave it up here if anyone wants to look through it. It's really a nice report. They intend to do this more often now. They do have a PR person on board, and they realize that LIU has to do a lot to promote themselves. They do a lot of good for the school districts, but they need more entrepreneurship, things that they can get into, things that they can offer school districts that can make money for the LIU. So, but you know, we really have a really good executive director now. I think we have a good cabinet in place. And we're looking forward to doing a lot of good things with LIU. So I'm going to leave this here. If you want to glance at it, that's great. LIU is starting their school year also. The end of report for LIU. Yancy.
Adams County Technical Institute. So our next meeting is this Wednesday. But there are things afoot, so make sure everyone's on the know here. So they have drafted an articles of incorporation, right? So they being the ACTI. So ACTI needs to set up the ACTI authority, right? Because right now they're not an entity that can own land or build buildings or anything of that such. So at this point, Sean and their staff have drafted the articles of incorporation, I'm looking at that copy of a draft of it here. I'm sure we'll talk about it Wednesday. To start the process of them creating this authority. All right. Apparently, as the history goes, there was an authority like 30 years and 6 months ago, and it only lasts for 30 years, something like that. It literally just, it dismembered itself, or that's not the right word, but yeah, there were no members. That was gruesome. There was no members involved, right? That was awful. Don't put that in the paper. But, yeah. Right. So anyway, so we have a new articles of incorporation that are going to be open, and what this means is us as a board, each district, there's 5 districts, will have someone appointed to this authority. So I think next in September, our next board meeting, we need to think or come up with someone for that position. It doesn't have to be a board member.
An ACTI board member.
It doesn't have to be a school board,
Okay.
does it?
I don't know the answer to that.
It needs to
As I
be,
read it, it didn't.
Yes, I read, yeah.
yeah, so I mean, it's, it's someone has to live in the district, it's a public hearing gathering, and this is different than the JOC, right? You still have the Joint Operation Committee, which is going to be your, the school districts, and they have that. This is really the authority that they may get together once or twice a year, right? Just to make sure, the entity that's, incorporated is doing the right thing. All right. So what am I saying here? So I need to inform you guys of this meeting, and then we need to come up with an appointment of a member, by next month. So
Someone who understands bond, construction issues, all these things.
yeah, it says recommend someone supportive of our efforts, of course, right? To build a technical school and knowledgeable about real estate, building projects, bonds, financing. So,
Finish where I started.
what's that?
I'll throw my hat in the ring for that one for you.
Okay.
I'll finish where I started. That's, they're on that originally, so. Yeah.
I mean,
You don't have
that-
unless somebody else wants to step up.
no, I enjoy being on the JOC, and I think, I think my background would help again, once they start getting involved with a building project. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know that I throw my hat, I don't know that I throw my hat in the ring, but
Yeah, it's something that gets us two voices, two different places.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feed me information, I feed you, go back,
Well, the JOC is still, I think,
Yeah.
more of a governing, I think, on the direction and of, the programming and how ACTI moves. But this is the authority that we need to get set up. So,
So you're saying you could be on even if you don't get reelected.
yeah.
So either way.
Or anybody, I mean, if someone who's listening to this, wants to, I think that's what I'd offer now to the public. Is there someone who's interested in this? Let us know. And I think just as a board, we need to come. And again, this is the authority. So this isn't, you're not meeting monthly here. This is, I can't remember what the internet, it was like maybe once a year. What's that?
It sounded like you were interested.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go for reelection, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
That would. This is one.
Members will not be compensated. Just let you know. Members will not, and it's a 5-year term. So, other than that, then after that, they'll hold a public hearing, in November. And then by December time from end of the year, we need to adopt the resolution approving and creating this authority. So that's the next steps here. And once that's there, I guess the last meeting I was at was 2 months ago. The architect was there and did present. Chris is nodding his head. They did present their findings for this ATCI feasibility study. And Chris is nodding his head because they provided that information also to the superintendents ahead of of the JOC meeting. And some of the things that came out of that were, let me see my notes here. They had given like square footage, they had given like occupancy, they started giving them an idea of, physical bricks and sticks of what they need to start up a new program,
Yeah,
right?
let me go over the 3 options real
Yeah,
quick.
go ahead.
So there's option 1, new facility to house all programs. Option 2 was a new facility with phased construction over 10 to 12 years. And option 3 was a new facility for what they called quote unquote dirty programs, and then maintain existing facility for clean programs, and then combine the two into one facility at a later date. So keep what you have at Gettysburg and go expand somewhere else. So those were the 3 feasibility study options from Crabtree Rural. So they were just giving a way to package moving forward with cost for each one of those. Short version.
That is a short version. And of course, the costs are then is the big
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah,
And
well,
how is that cost
right.
borne? And
And there's no
Bill
land to
and-
purchase right now. I think
Right.
that's acquisition of property or land would be step 1, which is why the authority needs to be done.
And I do know Sean has been, proactive in, going and talking to the government, to our representatives. He's talked to
Yep.
Tornacker, he's talked to Dan Mao, he's been to
Yep.
state capitol to talk about the issues.
They
So
received a $500,000 from the county already.
Yep.
He's willing to come to I think the October board meeting to every school to present, give an update. So there's definitely momentum for sure.
So if anybody has questions, let me know. As this goes through, I'll let you know what comes up of Wednesday's meeting. And that's where the ACTI stands. So thanks.
Yes, they
Oh, do they
start.
start tomorrow? I didn't know. Okay, thanks.
All right, Mr. Baker.
Yep, short report. Thank you. I do want to reiterate the thanks to everyone and the staff for helping get the school year started. Everyone has mentioned it. I just want to, and steal your thunder, but thank you to everyone for everything from getting others up and running to last minute hires, and people do lend a helping hand. Along with that helping hand, I do want to thank the community for rallying around the apartment building that burned and the families that were displaced. I just never have seen a place like this where just people jump to help. I think 2 of our staff members in elementary were over there while the fire was still burning, asking the families, well, we're here to help, just let us know. I do know Harry helped, Hartman, who's sitting in the room, the Gettysburg Times, helped rally resources for us. So thank you. Just the Rotary, it just spread really quickly how we needed help for these families. So that's just Littlestown. No, I didn't say that. So I do want to thank for helping the families out. We do need your patience this year with the construction project. And you received communications around one-way traffic and the fence, and you saw the new spots being painted around the road out there, which will really help. But specifically from 2:15 to 2:30, we're housing all the buses in the stadium parking lot. And then we're dismissing the middle school and the high school at the same time. So if you want to avoid frustration, do not try to drive through the Littlestown schools between 2:15 and 2:30. You will get frustrated. We have 3 crossing guards set up ready to say stop while all the kids get on the bus and head home. So 2:15, 2:30, all the buses stacked in the stadium parking lot. And we've done a practice run. We think it was our best solution. And so we're going to give it a try. Oh, yeah. Yeah, plenty of room.
Do you think we could, and your power of skills and maybe leverage the other guy over there, to get the state maybe to lend you some message boards?
Like the ones that sit in the roads?
Yeah, on either side of town or something, to avoid student traffic
Yeah,
during school times, just to let people know that are coming through.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people that cut
Right.
through this area.
what we're going to try to do is we can channel people out through Cross Park. We can channel them down by the Alloway Creek building. We can channel them out through Maple. We can get people redirected. Okay. We want to see how Thursday and Friday goes with the numbers and the volume. No different when Alloway opened up for the first time. There were a lot of cars here. And they were stacked up all the way out onto the main road. So we want to see the level and degree. We do think we can get some of the students out quicker, which would stop some of the congestion between buses and students, but we'll see how it goes. And then we'll reevaluate if we need to do more of a wave dismissal, where we do walkers, drivers first, and we hold the bus, or vice versa. So give us a shot.
State can, help us out with maybe a sign or something, just to
Yeah.
avoid traffic.
Have we knocked on the doors and talked to those houses right across that
No.
parking lot?
Not yet. We're gonna see how many cars are parked out there. The buses will, almost all of them will go out Maple.
Just kind of as a, hey,
Yeah,
just, I know at least one of those houses has, oh no, maybe not anymore. So it has students in the district, but
yeah.
they may not understand, and that might be worth
Yep,
a knock on
knock.
4 or 5 doors there.
Can the tech buses return to the stadium? Or is that here yet?
The drop off will be the same. So drop off, well, not the same. It'll be a different location. It's down by the tennis courts and the what's our greenhouse? Yeah. So the buses are going to loop in there and get out. So they're on campus for drop off. Now for tech, they're going to go up through the parent loop because it's during the day or it's early before. So tech will get dropped off by the main entrance. So it'll be again, patience and calm for the first couple of days for everybody until we establish the new routines. Two more items, just for parents, please make sure your children get 8-9 hours of sleep. That means by 10 o'clock, get them in bed. I know we say this and we don't say it enough, but that sleep makes a big difference for kids in school. They come to school tired, lots of problems exist after that. And the last item related to the goals, you heard it referenced by the principals. Our focus this year is very simplistic. Based on the survey results, academic safety and discipline are the top 3 items. And we are going to follow through on those three topics. And so it's exciting to see people rally around the community survey, what it looks like in our meetings, and then we start implementing academics as a focus, safety and discipline. And when we say discipline, it's not always consequence. It's the discipline to be a good student, but also the discipline of a consequence. But it's the discipline to come to school. It's the discipline to follow through on your studies, and self-discipline. So we use that word broadly, not so definitively of the consequence side. However, with that being said, we will speed up the due process and move quicker to discipline on issues that are frequent. So examples might be vaping. So, you're going to be 1, and then we're going to move up to suspension much quicker. Certainly, if you disrupt the classroom in any way, shape, or form, we'll move up quicker on that one. Or if you are unsafe in any way, shape, or form, whether it's on a bus, in the classroom, we'll move the progressive discipline much faster. So we will have students be removed from buses more this year than ever before. But we want to send that message real clear that you're here to learn, you're not here to goof off. So we needed a little bit of a reset. And I think everyone post-pandemic had some liberties and freedoms. It's time to reset in LASD fashion, which is Littlestown Academic Safety and Discipline, which is also Littlestown Area School District. Pretty simple. Last item, as we start to operationalize our goals, now that the project is not behind us, but it's financially behind us, Mr. Schovaker and I are working on a no more than 1% per year for the next 4 years and trying to put a plan together moving forward, just like we did with the building project. It was 1 to 3% to get to the project goal. This one's going to be no more than 1% moving forward for the next 4 years. So him and I are spending our time starting to rally around, can we afford that? Would that work if we stay at 1% or under for any taxes moving forward? And we're long range planning that. The state has a good budget this year that we think we can harness and use to deliver on that for at least 1 or 2, but we need to work harder to extend it to 3 or 4. So we're excited about rallying around a new set of goals and moving forward with the district for this year. That concludes my report.
Good. Any questions, Mr. Baker?
The fence is up. When do we think activity will start? Are we like weeks away, months
Yeah,
away?
we're weeks away from getting a permit. So we
Okay.
have contracts. I have 1 left to sign. We have the ESCO agreement with the borough to finalize, and then we need a permit. And then we need to approve all the clearances of all the workers. So we have a couple weeks yet, but we wanted to get the fencing up. We got approval from the borough to do that. So we didn't have to change routines 1 or 2 weeks into school.
And then the first phase is going to be the construction of the new front.
Yes.
So that you'll see earth being moved out in the
Yep.
main front area, that building
Yep.
being raised. While then we get that ready for the next phase.
Yeah, and we were very thankful for the GC, the general contractor, who gave us the big parking lot over by the track, because that was not the plan. They wanted both parking lots. And we said that will not work. And they rechanged the order in which they were doing things to give us that whole parking lot. So we thank them for that, where most of the staff and most of the students will park in the parking lots on campus. You saw the new lines out around the stadium that we put in. That's for overflow parking for either students and or staff or
I did.
contract
what,
workers.
On the road or?
Yeah, if you go around the stadium, you'll see lines painted on the side, both sides of the road,
Parking,
Mhm.
okay.
which will be more efficient rather than people parking. We do anticipate a little conflict with elementary early parents who like to come at 2 and 2:15 to pick up their kids at 3 or 3:15, while students are dismissing. So we anticipate a little bit of conflict. So we would ask the elementary parents not to come before 2:30 if they could, wait till 2:40 to arrive to pick up their elementary children.
And the main entry is now the cafeteria.
Yeah, so around back, there'll be a big sign put up tomorrow, main entrance, but yeah, where the cafeteria entrance is, the main entrance, visitor, main entrance, all the above.
All right. Moving on, is there any questions about old business? All right, anything informational or discussion that needs to be brought before the board?
Yeah, I just, the 2023 version, are we going to change the website to really focus on the paths of college and whatever? Because right now you have to kind of hunt for doing under counseling, there's no there that you don't know where it is. And they don't really like explain, they go link to hack, but you don't really get like the subscription, because I know when we first heard about the program for like dual enrollment, it was, we were told it was 50% of parents paying 50%, but that's not true. It's like
Right.
76.
80-20. Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of stuff, could we explain all that and how it all works?
Yeah,
If people know how to keep their cash.
So Dr. Berryman told me today she was doing a communication just for those folks who signed up for those courses. So they're going to know, but in the future, we did create, I don't know, Jeannie, if you saw the new middle school, high school website yet. So we have a separate site. So we're going to start building that site out as our communication tool. And then we'll slowly move away from the middle school, high school site. So that's the place you want to look for.
Is that for public?
It is. It's on there now.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gene.
No, it's on there now. It's live now. So everything we're doing related to the project, programming, and also construction is on that separate website. It's called Littlestown Middle School, High School. So when you go to the school and drop down, you'll see ACES, MAMS, LHS, and then the middle school, high school. So we'll start putting everything related to the project in that spot. But thank you for continuing to push for the communication around the graduation policy.
It's some good emails in the next few days. Yours was not signed up for transportation protection. I got that email today. And I'm
Good.
like, my gosh, thank God for that.
Good.
So I'm very happy.
Thank you.
Good, all right, any other information to bring before the board? All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.